The worst part about struggling isn't always the struggling itself. It's what you start believing about yourself because you're still struggling. Because after a while, it stops feeling like something you can get over and starts feeling like something you can't get past. You know in yourself you should be doing better, you see other people have things handled better than you do, and you start feeling weak for finding just normal things hard work. And when that happens, the guilt is actually heavier than the struggle itself. And the problem is with the struggling, half of it people don't even see. I mean, the parts they see, like apologising again for losing your temper, or for turning up late, or for not, doing what was asked of you, not being reliable, whatever it might be, not coping properly. That's the part everybody sees. And it's less than half the story, isn't it? Really. I mean, like, the thoughts like, I should be coping better. The feeling of just hopelessness in that normal things feel like too much like hard work now, that we almost put them off. We almost don't want to do the normal things because they feel too hard now. The way we judge ourselves as well, and it's brutal. There's no softening of any of the blows in that. When it's like, when we turn on ourselves, there's no nice ending to that. I think if you've been there, you'll know exactly what I mean. I'd say one of the worst parts of it, though, is that you start believing that this is just who you are. Because once you see the same thing again and again, you start to accept it for what it is. I mean, if you look at like most other things, if you take a really basic example, if you see an apple fall out of a tree enough times, it's proof that gravity exists. I know that's a really basic example, but it's the truth, isn't it? If you see enough things fall, you're like, yep, that must be what it is then. If you see yourself fail enough times or mess up enough times, you'll think that's just how I am now. It's the same principle. It's repetition. We start assuming the worst of ourselves because that's the bit we choose to see. The worst part about struggling is what you start believing about yourself because of it. And the thing is, it didn't start like this. It wasn't like start struggling one day, wake up the next day, right, that's it, I'm doomed. Let's move on. It erodes you down in the same way that a sea erodes down a cliff face. One day it's like, God, that was hard work. And it just slowly builds from there. It doesn't knock you down in one go. It just keeps taking more and more out of you over time. It's like walking on land versus walking through water. Eventually, the sheer volume of weight of what you're dealing with just wears you down. And that is it. Overwhelm feels like weakness. Exhaustion feels like laziness. Snapping feels like you're just either you can't be bothered, or you're a bad person, or you feel like you're failing the people around you. Like I say, when we turn on ourselves, it's dreadful. It is. It's absolutely horrendous. Like, rest becomes almost a failure at this point. And you think to yourself, like, I don't deserve it. I don't deserve to rest because the people that I'm trying to be better for are not getting that better version. Therefore, I don't have the opportunity to rest. I don't deserve that because I haven't earned that rest. And it is, honestly, it is dreadful. After a while, struggling stops feeling temporary and it starts feeling personal, like it's just who you are. But I do want to say this to you quickly, because I think this is important. You weren't born feeling guilty for resting. Just say it again. You weren't born feeling guilty for resting. Let me take you on a little wander through how I reframe these sorts of things for myself. I'm not saying that I've figured it all out. I'm just saying this is how I managed to take some of the burden of the guilt off of myself. And if it helps you, fab. If not, that's entirely up to you, okay? But let me ask you a question, and it's going to appear random as shit given what we've been talking about, but let me ask you a question. Is touching a hot oven a bad thing to do? Yes. Why is touching a hot oven a bad thing to do? Because it will burn your hand. Yeah? How were you taught that? Through repetition. You were taught that because your parents or your guardians or your carers or whoever it was repeatedly told you, no, don't do that, you'll burn yourself. So you learn over time, I'm not touching the oven, I'll burn myself. In the same way, right, we see it so much, the conditioning nowadays, right, and it's not just a recent problem. This has been going back generations, but the conditioning around struggling, being almost this cringy aspect that people don't talk about, and it's almost shameful. And it's when you think back a few hundred years and people with depression or anxiety or bipolar disorder, any one of these mental illnesses would be chained up for having a mental illness. And you get to now and it's like, I know we expect the world to have evolved and got on with it a bit more, but it hasn't properly yet. If you think about really bad injury, you don't just get injured, wake up the next day and you're fine again. It's a rehabilitation process. We're part of that rehabilitation process. But the problem is, we got taught that if you're seen struggling, it's weakness. If you're seen struggling, it's wrong. Don't let other people see the struggling, because it's not a good thing for other people to see. It introduces things like guilt. It introduces things like shame. This whole, like, get on with it, right? I'm 32. My parents were brought up on just get on with it, and probably a lot of worse things as well, right? Society 150 years ago was a lot worse than that. I'm not saying that anyone who says any of these things to you is justified in what they're saying. I'm absolutely not. Because we shouldn't have to, like, hide the struggle. I don't think we should. I don't think we should have to hide the struggle. I don't think we should have to be ashamed of not being able to cope on a day or a week or a month. But we do. We have this, I've seen it a lot of people, and not many people say this out loud about themselves, but I've seen so many people do this almost subconsciously. I see a lot of people struggling with and dealing with this in a like daily basis. Yeah, I see it in the street, I see it in my home, I see it with my friends, I see it with my family. I'm not saying everyone's like it. I'm saying I see it too often for it to be a coincidence. People attach their self-worth to their output. What I mean by that is that if you go through a day and you're not calm enough, you don't get enough done, or you're not the person you want to be on that given day, you have not done enough. And what do you feel for that? You feel like shit because you haven't done what you wanted. Tying your self-worth to your outputs is not the way to live your life. It's just not, because once you have a bad day, you end up feeling worse. And at no point do I hear most of my own generation, never mind the people that came before us, right, who were raised on different upbringings, but even people of my own generation, they're like, nobody goes, don't define your self-worth through your outputs. But we all do it. Even I do. If I have a bad day and I don't get enough done or I don't get enough things right, yeah, I judge myself through my outputs. I try really hard not to, because I see how damaging it is. But once you've seen something for long enough and you've been around it for long enough, it's hard to get out of that. The key and the core problem here is this: most people don't wake up hating themselves for struggling. They learn that hatred over time. They learn it slowly. There is one part of this we didn't learn over time. There's one part of this that just comes naturally to us if we care enough. It's the part that happens after we snap, after something goes wrong. And that's I would say probably worse than the snapping itself. Because what do people see? People see you like raise your temper or lose your voice, apologise for it afterwards, try and make amends. What they don't see is everything that goes on under the surface. The downright shame, the abject hatred of what you've just done, of you for what you've just done. The look, the feeling you get when you see the look of the face of someone you care about because you've just reacted. It's like a gut punch to your soul. People don't talk about these things. We all feel it. But again, it's part of the struggle, so it doesn't get spoken about. I can remember once, I remember very vividly reacting badly to my 8-year-old who's now 12. And at the time he was 8 and I was in a really difficult place mentally. I was struggling a lot. I was in this guilty for struggling, right? I was in it deep. I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to do anything, go anywhere or see anyone. Every aspect. Just finding something to wear felt like an uphill battle. Just being in a room with other people felt practically dangerous. Like I didn't know what version of me they were going to get until something happened. And it was exhausting and it was dreadful. I was like full of apprehension all the time. And I remember my son said something to me. I don't remember what it was now. I don't remember what he said. I remember how I reacted. He said something. I think he said it to his younger brother, and I shouted. Not like, tore the house apart, scream at the top of my lungs. I had raised my voice to the point where it was shouting. And I saw the look on his face. And it's like the look you imagine if you give a kid coal for Christmas. Just all of the joy in his little world just seemed to just go dark. All of the light just seemed to go away. And that image stays with me even now. But seeing it at that time, it's hard to get over. And those moments where you've reacted to other people, they're like scars on your heart. Like you don't know how to get over that. You don't know how to deal with that. And because no one else sees it, and because you define yourself as the problem for reacting in the first place, you don't share any of that. So you and you alone are carrying that with you. Nobody else is there to help with that. And the problem is, because you're carrying it alone, it adds to the weight of the struggle. And it makes the next time harder. And the next time harder. And the time after that. And the time after that. Replaying conversations and thinking, like, if I just said this. I used to do that all the time. Replay the conversations. Because I thought, like, the next time it happens, I'll know what to say now. Fair. I knew what to say the first time. Or I knew what not to do the first time. I still did it. You can know the right things to say. You can know the right things to do. If you don't have access to a version of yourself that's capable of those things in that moment, you are not going to do and say those right things. And it's a sad and sorry truth, but that is just the fact. And the thing is with it, a lot of people feel like they're failing. But if you notice what I said there, it's not if you choose not to access that version of yourself. It's if you don't have access to that version of yourself. If you chose not to drive to work, you would be in trouble. If you physically couldn't get there, that's a different thing. It's the same principle with calm, with how you react. If you don't have access to the version of yourself that can deal with that properly and calmly and gently and kindly, it's a different thing. One of the other really hard parts is the masking afterwards, because we can't let it happen twice, not so quickly after the first time. So we mask it, because if we don't, number one, if we don't mask it, right, it will happen again straight away. If we try and live with that and like feel it and process it on the spot, that ain't happening, Chief. We're about to react again, right? If you're anything like me, that's exactly how it's going to work. The other part of it is as well, it's like you don't feel that you deserve, again, to be able to feel those things in public. So you don't. You just feel it in private behind this screen of composure or quiet or whatever it might be. Normally quiet, I imagine, for most people. Because I've seen quiet be a constant for a lot of people in the past. People are just silent. They don't talk. And in that moment, what they're not doing is being present in the room. They're isolating themselves. I'm not shaming anybody. I did it myself. I can speak so clearly into this pain because I have lived through it myself. And I still live through it now. You become exhausted. Not because you're thinking about, oh, I've got this lunch with my parents later. Oh, my in-laws are coming down. I'm meant to go to my kids' assembly at school today. I've got this massive meeting at work. What you're actually exhausted from is thinking about, oh my God, I've got to make sure I behave, or I've got to make sure I stay like calm. I've got to make sure that I'm the right person for that moment. You've got no idea, right? I had something come up a little while ago now, and I needed to be on my game. I knew about it about a week or two in advance, and this was only recently, which shows you that I'm still learning, right? I haven't figured this out yet. I still get like this now, and I know some people out there are going to be like, well, yeah, but you know, I choose to sit here and make videos about it, and my videos are not like I figured it all out. It's like I'm still learning, I'm making the mistakes, so you can learn from my mistakes, so you don't have to make them yourself. But I had this thing come up, and it was a family function, and I knew it was going to be hard work. I just did, because these same family functions are normally hard work. 1, maybe 2 times out of 10, they're all right. Every other one of them, it's like you just got to bite your tongue and try your best to stay calm. And as soon as I knew about it, I started bracing for it. Like the impact of a crashing car. Like, I need to make sure I'm calm for this day. It's 2 weeks away. I don't know what's going to happen in the next 2 weeks. I was hospitalized in that time. I actually was. And it got to the function, and I'd practically forgotten about the whole I need to stay calm throughout because of everything that had happened. But when we start looking ahead to the next time we need to be calm, whether it's when we get home from work, going to work, putting the kids to bed, seeing our parents for lunch at the weekend, whatever it might be, whatever the next like occasion or day or moment is that you need to be calm for, you start bracing for it straight away. It's that I don't know where I heard it to. I heard it once years ago. I could not tell you where I heard it from, but it was a line in, I think, a TV program that says, my philosophy is worrying means you suffer twice. And I remember hearing that at the time and not paying the slightest bit of attention to it. I hear it now and I think that's powerful. Because if you're already like, oh my God, 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 before you even get there, you're just adding stress and pressure to yourself before the thing has even happened. It's that self-monitoring. And we all do it. And we do it because we want to get it right. We don't want it to happen like it did last time. But I think too much of that pressure is bad for us. But all of that happens under the surface. Nobody else sees any of that. The guilt, the blame, the replaying conversations, the pressure, all of it. Nobody sees any of that. What people see is the apology. What they don't see is everything happening underneath that. And I'm not saying at any point, and nor will you ever hear me say, that your behavior doesn't matter. It obviously does. What I'm saying is that what you can deal with right now doesn't define who you are. It just defines what you can deal with right now. And everybody has a different, what I would say, capacity. Everybody can only deal with so much at any one time. And that capacity might be really high, you might deal with a lot of stuff, it might be right down here and you can't do anything. It's not a reflection of who you are. There's a thing that I try and think about, right? Imagine a set of scales, yeah? Right? If your capacity is right down here and it's really low, that must mean the stuff weighing you down must be really, really big. Even if it doesn't feel really big, it's having a really big effect. Yeah, if you actually, you know what, the kids have been great the last couple of weeks, haven't argued once, they've got a bed on site, we've got a promotion at work, we had a tax rebate come in. Life is good, you know? For the first time in I can't remember when, life is actually treating me all right. Your capacity might be right up here because the things affecting you are right down here. It's the capacity scales, you know? It's true. The amount we can deal with depends entirely not on us, not on who we are, but on what's happening to and around us, right? If your kids are playing up, if work is a bitch, if people are not being helpful, if it's 35 degrees and you're trying to film a YouTube video while your kids want to go and play on the PlayStation instead because it's half term, it's going to stress you out. Overwhelm is something that people almost feel afraid to talk about, but it completely changes how you think. Because overwhelm isn't just, I'm having a lot's going on at the minute and I'm struggling to deal with stuff. It completely warps how you think. Because you're like, I should be better than this. That isn't overwhelm talking, that's pressure talking, but overwhelm completely blows that out of proportion because it's like, I should be better than this. I lose my job, my partner won't want anything to do with me, my kids will hate me, everything will go wrong, my life will be a mess, I'll be on my own. Do you know what I mean? But if you've been there, it feels so real. It feels like it's happening. You start imagining what that would be like, because the biggest problem with overwhelm and the way it changes how you think is people lose access to what I call emotional space. Emotional space for me is like the cement between bricks. If you look at any brick wall, could be a house, could be whatever, the cement between the bricks holds all the bricks together. Yeah? Imagine the bricks are parts of your life. So one brick is like your kids, one brick is your partner, one brick is your job, one brick is your taxes, one brick is your responsibilities, one's your parents, one's your siblings, do you know what I mean? All the different elements of your life are all of these bricks. The cement holds it all together. You are that cement. The less emotional space you have, the smaller that cement gets between the bricks. If there's no cement in a brick wall, eventually all the bricks fall down. Overwhelm and overload reduce that space, that emotional space, right down to zero. And then what happens is that everything does feel like it's too much, because you've got no way of coming back to yourself, having time for you to recover from life, being just, messy and difficult and too much most days. Self-awareness collapses under pressure, because if you don't see that overwhelm is warping your thought process, that you need 5 minutes to function, but you don't know where they're going to come from, and you feel bad for needing those 5 minutes, and then like something goes wrong and you're beating yourself up for that. It all gets too much. I ran on this capacity being my identity until quite recently. And I want to tell you a story, and if you don't want to listen to it, that's entirely fine. But I was admitted to hospital recently. Literally, I've been out at time of recording. I've been out for exactly 6 days. I was admitted because I was having a lot of pain in my chest. And they don't know what it is yet. They thought it might be stress, they thought it might be heart problems, lung problems, whatever. But that time in hospital was like dreadful. Not because I was worried about me, because I was sat in some hospital bed knowing that what I needed to be was at home doing everything for everybody else. And every day, hour, minute spent sat in hospital, like taking up the bed that could be for somebody else, whilst my family are at home trying to get on without me, was dreadful. I got admitted the 27th of May at time of recording. I was admitted on May 14th, and literally the second I found out I was staying here overnight, I got hold of my partner straight away on Facebook and was like, can you please bring my laptop in with you? Because they planned to come in the next day. I'm like, please bring my laptop in. I need to do something. I can't sit here and do nothing. I have to move some needle forward somewhere. I have to be doing something. Not because I was putting pressure on myself to do something, because I didn't know how to stop. I had lost access to emotional space in myself whilst telling myself that I had it all handled and I was perfectly fine. Then when something happens and you don't have that routine and that like almost what I would call comfortable pressure, what you're used to sit inside of every day to keep you going as you are, everything, just all the wheels fall off and it all goes everywhere, and then suddenly you're up a tree. You don't know what to do with yourself. And I didn't know what to do with myself. So I was working on YouTube, I was working on my channel, I was working on my brand from a hospital bed for 7 days. I filmed a video in a hospital. The link is in the description if you want to have a look at that. The audio is rubbish, but the message is honest. And if you do want to look at what that was like, again, I'll link it below. But I didn't know how to stop. I didn't know how to deal with having space. That's what a hospital visit should have been, space. To recover, to heal, to rest, to take time for me. I did not like that at all. And I think the problem is, looking back on it now, is that instead of it being like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour in the evening, once everybody had gone to bed, that kind of time, it was 7 whole days. And I think because it was so much time that my body just rejected it. But if you're not able to find that time for yourself on the day-to-day, that's where the pressure is going to eat you up. Because you don't have anywhere to go where the pressure doesn't constantly follow you around. Pressure becomes like a second shadow. But in the same way that it's impossible to escape, the reason for that is, just like a shadow, you don't stop and check your shadow still there. If your shadow suddenly wasn't there one day, you would feel wildly different and very weird. And almost probably a bit uncomfortable, being like, why have I not got a shadow anymore? It's the same with the pressure. Once it goes away, if you, like for me, once it went away, it was like, what do I do now? I didn't know how to cope. So what I think most people need isn't some massive change. None of this 5 ways of staying calm. None of this 10 hacks to change your life rubbish. I think what people need is a simple way to just create small bits of space to start with. Little bits, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is. A small way to create that space where you're not feeling the pressure. It doesn't come with you. You're not being something to somebody. You're just being you to you. And that's okay. If it's just for a couple of minutes, that's all right. If it starts as that, there's no massive expectation for it to suddenly be, I'm going to go and take an hour. I'm going to disappear for a day. Because if you're anything like me, your body won't have any of that. It will just reject it straight away and go, I'm not doing that, mate. You can forget all about that. And the pressure and the guilt of like, I need to be there. I need to be doing this, etc., etc. It all comes rushing in and you don't get to enjoy that time properly. The pressure overwhelms and consumes that time. Now, because I was in this state of not knowing how to stop, needing something to do, I worked out a system for myself, because not like I thought I knew better than everybody else, but just nothing else ever worked for me. None of it worked for me because it all asked for too much time or money, or it asked me to learn a new skill or be a different person, and I wasn't able to do any of that. If you're deep in the pressure, if the solution is like, hey, learn this skill, learn to meditate, take up yoga, take an hour from your day. No, I don't have access to the person that can do those things right now. I need something that works for me as I am right now. That was what I needed. So I didn't sit down and plan something. I just staggered through life trying to find a solution. Staggered through life, making mistakes, getting it wrong, until eventually I found something that worked. What I call it now is the 1% method. But the part that I'm most interested in sharing with you today is the 1% reset, part of that method. And the 1% reset is the part where space is actually generated. It's the part where you can think like, this is where the breathing room comes from. This is where the pause is, the interruption in your day. This is the bit where you get to have that 2 minutes or that 5 minutes or that 10 minutes. There's no it doesn't have to be a certain amount of time. It doesn't have to be done the right way. There's no right way of doing it. There's just your way of doing it that works for you. The 1% reset, I found it worked because it fitted into my life exactly the way that it was. I didn't have to change anything, do anything, learn anything. What I found was that there were times in the day that I wasn't doing anything in that time. I wasn't being something to somebody in that time. But rather than take that time to take a minute to myself, try and just listen to a bit of music and just chill in the car, whatever it might have been, it was like I go back to the next thing and I'm worrying about that and I'm thinking about that. Like, one of the best examples for me was when I went to go and pick my kids up from school. That drive to the school and the waiting in the car park before they came out, that was a massive one for me, simply because, right, I used to get to the end of that time before I started taking it as a reset, and my kids would get in the car and they'd be hot and sweaty and worn out from school, and they'd get home and fall out and it would all go wrong. Literally every day was basically the same. And every day would end by and large with the same thing, them falling out with each other or me falling out with them. On those rare unicorn days where it was all fine, it was lovely. But they were rare unicorn days. And that was the first time in that moment from going from home to the school and the waiting in the car park, that was the moment I tried taking first. And it wasn't like some great plan. I didn't take a book or a yoga mat or whatever to the school with me. I just got in the car, put a bit of music on, cracked the window a bit, and just embraced listening to the music. Just embraced having. I have my hand out the window, like doing like this in the wind. Anyone else do this? Have your hand out the window like this in the wind? I was just appreciating the sensation of being a person, being me for 5 minutes, without having to be a parent, a partner, a carer, a work colleague, whatever. I didn't have to be any of those things for that. It's like 5 to 7 minutes. And it was amazing and it was lovely. And for the first day, it made no difference at all. I tell this story and I get the part where I go on the first day and you can see the eyes of the people I'm talking to and they're like, oh, this is the moment it all changed. No, it made no difference at all. By the end of the first week, it started to make a difference. Not because I was acting any differently. I would still lose my temper. I would still run out of patience. It just wouldn't happen as quickly. The concrete between the bricks was starting to appear again. It wasn't what it should be. It wasn't what you want it to be, but you could see it again. Now we're 4 or 5 years on. Am I calm all the time? Not a chance. Do I want to be? I'd bite your arm off for it, but I'm not. But the emotional space is now there, and now I see it in my day, wherever my day takes me. If you think about it like this, right? If you think about like something, a habit that you do, having a fag, having a vape, scrolling on your phone, whatever it might be, replying to messages, scrolling social media, whatever it is. If you think about your day and you're like, oh, there's no time for that today. And then a window of opportunity appears to you later in the day. They're like, oh, could you go and do XY job or XY task or favor, whatever it might be. And you're like, I can scroll on my phone or have a fag in that time. Like, yes, result. Resets work exactly the same. If you've got 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, these aren't like big things, by the way, these moments. Like if you're a working parent, the way to work, the time before you walk in, the way home, and the time before you go back in the house, that's 4 moments right there. But if you don't work, if you're like stay-at-home parent, say for instance, like I am at the minute, I work from home, I look after the kids, I care for my partner, I don't really go out very much anymore. My moments aren't what they used to be. During the school term, I have the taking kids to school, I have the picking them up. But outside of that, they aren't what they used to be, my moments. They're not as many of them as they used to be. But I still take them because I know where they are. It can be as simple as putting the kettle on for a drink, doing the dishes. Even if you're doing something, if it comes to that, even if you're doing something like washing dishes, put some music on, have a sing. Or put your favourite, YouTuber on your phone. People have got Netflix, BBC iPlayer, that on the phone now. Watch 10 minutes of your favourite programme while you're doing that. It's not like it's massively out of the realms of possibility, and it's not like you're doing it to help you stay calm or to change who you are or to be a better person or a different person. You're just having that time to yourself. Or you're having some part of that time to yourself again. Yes, you're still washing dishes. Yes, you're still making a hot drink. But actually, you watched 10 minutes of an old Top Gear rerun. You found a meme you thought was really funny and sent it to your mate. You got to have a vape, whatever it is. There's no, you have to do it in this order and do this activity and whatever else. It's just taking that time for yourself. And the time doesn't need to be big. But enough of that time taken over time, enough of those small moments taken over time create enough emotional space that you don't, number one, you don't feel like you rely on them anymore. Number two, you don't struggle to see where they are anymore. I have this term that I use, especially for the 1% method, and it's micro action, macro effect. Small difference, big effect over time. That's literally how it works. Enough small things, one big effect. Like if you left the tap running under a cup and it was just dripping out of the tap, you left the cup under there, eventually that cup will fill up. One drop at a time, but it will. That's how the 1% reset works. And it works for me because it's not promising something you can't deliver on. It's not any pressure to do anything differently. You're literally operating inside of your own life. If any of you, by the way, want any help with this, I've created a PDF that I'll also link in the description. It'll be the top link of the description for you, okay? And it's a list of all the different ideas of like where you could have a reset that I've come up with. I think there's about 20, 30 things on there. It's just a list of different things. Print it off, stick it in your fridge, leave it in your phone. Don't get it at all. Whatever you want to do, it's completely free. There's no sign up required. This is just me saying to you, like, here's what I wish I had. I wish somebody had sat down with me and said, just, have you tried doing this? And then given me like a little, not cheat sheet, but like a little list of places I can be looking for a reset. Because the hardest part is when people go, I don't have 5 minutes. Interesting that, just very quickly, the I don't have 5 minutes statement. Do you know there are 1,440 minutes in every day of your life? I know a lot of us, the day goes by like that, but 1,440 minutes every day. And we're saying we can't find 5 of them. What we're saying, to one extent or another, is the people that I need to be present for simply cannot manage with just 1,435 minutes of my daily time. When you say, do you see what I mean? The power of just saying something slightly differently to what you normally hear. If you want the PDF, it's there. I encourage you to take it up because it made such a difference to me. Not straight away. Don't expect a change after a week, 2 weeks, a month, 6 months. Don't expect change at any point. The one thing I would say is it's your race done at your pace. People might be faster than you at getting calm. They might be slower than you. You go at your own speed. Because if you go at your own speed, you're guaranteed to do it in the way that best suits you. You don't need to become a different person overnight. You just need enough space to stop treating yourself like the enemy. Now, I really hope over the course of this video, you've maybe entered in with some negative feelings and some negative thoughts. You might still have them. What I hope you've done, though, is listen to another human say, yeah, I like that as well. Just feel less alone. Feel a bit more seen. A bit more even understood. I'm not hoping to change your whole life in however long this video ends up being. I'm just hoping for you to feel like that guy's like it too. That's all I'm hoping for. That's a start. Because if you can relate enough to think that guy's like it too, you know you're not on your own. And if you are struggling, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, but I am a human being. And, you know, I'm here if you need me. Drop it in the comments. If you want to get involved over email, I'll put it in the description, but I want to be there for you people. I want to build a community of people who aren't just all coming to me, but a community of people who know they're not alone because the rest of the community is in the same boat. People at differing levels of where they're at, all offering each other advice and guidance and help. Nothing that's like, 5 hacks to calm or any of that. Or maybe it is, but people that feel seen because they're not the only person in the room like it anymore. That's my goal. That's what I want to do. But everything has to start with one person. So if you need something, if you're struggling, reach out to me in the comments. If there's a question you want to ask, if there's a part of the video that you want me to explain a bit more, let me know. What I hope more than anything is that you've gone from something is wrong with me and you're coming slowly towards I was carrying more than I realised. And as long as you're some part of the way to there, then this video has done its job. I just want to say it again. You weren't born feeling guilty for struggling. You weren't, I weren't. And maybe that means that you don't have to spend the rest of your life proving that you deserve compassion or rest either. Whatever you go away thinking, I really hope this has helped. My name has been Daniel Mottram, and I cannot wait to catch up with you in the next video.